Hey guys, I haven't done a video in like 3 months and feels like the channel is a bit dead. So now that Path of Exile is out, Path of Exile 2 is out, I'm gonna try to post more videos. In this video I just want to give you kind of my impression. I feel like most other content creators said what I would want to say just better. I'm also gonna try to avoid spoilers, so I'm not gonna show too much gameplay. I will show some gameplay when I talk about the build that I was doing and maybe some other mechanics. But to start off, I wanted to wait until the honeymoon phase is over. You know how as soon as you start like, oh, everything is amazing, and then you don't really see any like issues until later on when you kind of start seeing problems and start getting frustrated, and then you actually get back to reality. So I feel like this is the time to do that. So the game, like visuals and boss fights, la la la, everything, all those things are super amazing, like top tier. I'm so impressed with how the world looks like, how everything looks like. But the balance part of the game is not very good, and there are some things that just absolutely drive me insane, and I have no idea how new players even going to approach that, like more casual players. I played Path of Exile 1 for over 12 years now, almost exclusively Path of Exile 1, and I made hundreds of videos and literally thousands of builds in Path of Exile 1, and I'm struggling and it's driving me insane. Some of the mechanics just so bad. I don't know how new players, like Path of Exile 2 was supposed to bring like more casual players and new players, and it does many things like really well at explaining and like all the small things, yeah. But for example, my biggest gripe is trials. The trials are just insane. The difficulty spike is just crazy. So here's my first character, Witch Hunter, which is mercenary, going with crossbows. First I went with the grenades. It worked well. I didn't have much frustration. I did die quite a bit, but I was kind of fine with it because it's supposed to be like a more challenging game, but also still fun. And it was fun until I reached the third trial, essentially. The first trial is Sanctum. By the way, Sanctum and Ultimatum, I did not do them in Path of Exile 1 because I just don't enjoy the honor system, and Ultimatum was always like the rewards were shitty corrupted items at the start, but the punishment was like really high. So I just never did them. And now we are kind of forced to do that. Not only that, but this honor system, like it's so easy to mess up.
Impressive endurance.
The fair trial, I failed all of them. I had like 4 or 5, failed all of them. And you may think, oh, skill issue. Sure, skill issue, new game. Maybe the build is also an issue, but how is the new player gonna approach this that hasn't played Path of Exile 1 and doesn't really know those mechanics? I mean, I already knew how the Sanctum works. I kind of knew what are the bosses. In fact, I actually do like how the Sanctum and Ultimatum has been reworked, but the honor system is just so annoying. It feels like it doesn't matter what your build is, you can fail if enemies just hit you at the wrong time. And then Ultimatum, actually I feel like Ultimatum is a bit more chill, but the negatives of the first, like when you start Ultimatum and you have to choose from 3 bad things, and your reward is like a shitty rare that you will never use, so it's not an incentive to as a reward. Why even have it there? And then the negatives are so strong. Like let's say if you choose like spinning lasers that apply corrupting blood, you touch that, you're dead. If you don't have the right defenses, you touch that, you're dead. Maybe if you just barely touch it, you would survive by spamming life rares. Sure, you can choose the less punishing one, but I feel like the jump in difficulty just goes up way too much. There's like no kind of acceleration in difficulty, you know? And then I don't know if it's a bug or not, but there's a bird in Ultimatum. It turns into a tornado, and I don't know what to do. It slows you down. The tornado hits you and does damage, and you cannot like escape it. I don't even know what to do with that.
Need a sec.
Son of a bitch. Fuck off. So yeah, trials I feel like are just absolute nightmare. If Path of Exile 2 was supposed to bring newer and more casual players in that didn't really like Path of Exile 1 because of its complexity, then how is this kind of difficulty spike supposed to keep the new players like engaged? Like this is just like a punch in the face. You get punched in the face by Mike Tyson, and you never even punched a punching bag in your life, and you just get punched by Mike Tyson, and you now drop dead. That's how it feels. This difficult. Other than that, like there are so many good things about this game, and some areas are so good I don't even want to leave those areas. The exploration part is another thing. Sure, you can explore and admire those areas, but when your goal is okay, maybe I shouldn't be talking because that's another big part. And now the fun part, walk all the way back. Isn't that cool? Isn't that fun? I just need to walk all this way, all that way. Yep. If you had bad experience, frustration, there's nothing I can say or anyone that can say that would make you feel good about your bad experience, right? There's nothing anyone can say. So all we can do is wait and hope that GG is gonna improve the balance, fix what needs to be fixed, and do it right? That's my take, and probably I actually would give PoE in its current state 8 out of 10 just because of those frustrations. Would not want to give it 9 out of 10. But I'm sure that I'm gonna continue playing Path of Exile 2 for many years, and hopefully it's gonna improve and have less frustration. I don't mind difficulty and dying to bosses, but when I die and it feels like it wasn't my fault, it just feels like really bad. Now there's another thing that I absolutely do not like. It feels like they made couple things that are step in the right direction, but then couple other things that are kind of step backwards. Like step away from the goal of attracting newer players, which is, for example, respecting your refining your starting class, not starting class, but ascendancy class. We have that in PoE 1, but why we don't have that in PoE 2? Another thing, and I'm gonna show my mercenary. The mercenary that I'm doing here started with grenades, but later I turned into Dorian's prototype, which is exactly the same as in PoE 1. Dorian's prototype, I'm just gonna show you it. You want negative lighting resistance for yourself. So Dorian's prototype, enemies in your presence have lighting resistance equals to yours, and lighting resistance does not affect lighting damage taken. You want armor to mitigate lighting damage taken, and enemy resistance is gonna be at -60. If you do not take, there is a quest. I don't know why it's so different than all the other quests, but there's a quest that will give you 10 elemental resistances. As far as I know, you cannot refund that quest. I'm gonna show you on the like a clip where that quest is, and normally if you do a quest, it drops an like a consumable item which you right click, and it consumes and gives you like certain rewards like fire resistance or plus spirit or plus life or stuff like that. But there's one quest that gives 10 lighting resistance, which doesn't drop an item, and it gives you lighting resistance immediately as soon as you click on the thing in the map, in the zone. I don't know why that one specific is done like that, but if you get that, you immediately lose damage because you have more lighting resistance, which means enemies gonna have more lighting resistance. And now I have this lingering feeling, well, fuck, I messed up my build now. I took the quest, I cannot refund it, and now my build is ruined. I would have to make a new character exactly like this, do everything the same, but do not do that quest. Why? I need to refund that quest somehow now. And the quest is in Act 2. There's one in normal and there's one in cruel. I did both, but for some reason I'm still at -50 instead of -40. I'm not sure why. So in normal difficulty, this is the quest. It is in the Spires of the Share. Do not click that statue or whatever it is if you are doing the Rhiannis prototype build, or if you want to do some kind of lighting build. You could to that build also add like Ventress Gamble with negative lighting res, but someone is doing that build and the prices went up by a lot for decent Ventress Gamble. I'm not doing this build anymore because I just cannot do the fair trial. As you can see, I still only got 2 ascendancy trials done. I would take the decimating strike, and that would help with the clear by a lot, but I just cannot do the trial. I failed too many times, it just got too much frustration. And now on top of that, I also went to check that quest that I missed, and I thought, oh, I'm just gonna not consume the item that gives resistances, you know. I clicked on the statue and it immediately gave me resistances, and it immediately made my build worse. And now I just cannot undo that. This is just such a step backwards. You cannot refund things that you could refund in Path of Exile 1. On top of that, the refund cost goes up by a lot. I have $500,000. I already refunded. I maybe spent maybe close to $1 million on refunds. I can barely refund one more time because now it costs 6,000. So I can refund, I believe, like 88 passive points before I run out of gold. And if it doesn't work and I would need to refund back, I wouldn't have enough gold. So maybe actually increasing amount of gold would be better, because at the start it's also, I mean, everyone already said that. I don't need to say the same things as everyone else. So basically this build is kind of, I was hesitant to make a video because this is nothing really kind of special, you know, no like clever mechanic or anything other than Dorian's prototype, which was in PoE 1. Okay, one different thing is that penetration does not go below 0 in Path of Exile 2. It does go infinitely into negative in Path of Exile 1. Enemies do have a cap of -100 maximum, or I guess minimum, elemental resistance in Path of Exile 1, but I don't know if it's the same in Path of Exile 2. So maybe just one Venturous Gamble, like a really good one, would be all you need. All I know is that penetration is kind of useless in Path of Exile 2. If you have a lot of like exposure or courses, then penetration is useless essentially. Essentially I'm just using galvanic shards for clearing, like this skill for clearing, and then using voltaic grenades to electrocute enemies to kind of stagger them, sometimes shock. But in order to shock bigger bosses, I'm using the plasma blast, which is a long charge, big damage laser. It applies big shock on enemies, and then I switch to the shock burst rounds, and this just shreds enemies. A funny thing is, if enemies are not shocked and I use this, it just tickles enemies. It pretty much does no damage to them. As soon as I shock enemies, this just shreds them. So that's how I'm playing essentially. Clearing this big enemy, drop this, switch to this, shoot, kill, move on. Voltaic mark to help with shocks a bit. There's also emergency reload, which actually gives quite a lot more damage. It gives 27% more damage when you reload, like the clip, not just one shot but the whole clip, but it's only for 6 seconds. But you can also link it to premeditation, which gives another 15% more. As for the passive tree, basically I went Witch Hunter for the explosions, and explosions don't really work that well early on, but later on in maps it's surprisingly really good, despite being pure physical and I'm pure lighting. Actually, not pure lighting, that's another thing. Getting full conversion is also kind of difficult, because all my skills pretty much do not have full conversion into lighting. I mostly picked up damage, and now I'm also getting iron reflex and stacking some armor, and I currently have only 4,000 armor, so it's not that much. The build does not perform that well in like tier 9 maps. From time to time I keep dying, not keep dying but just die randomly, but I assume most builds do that if you mess up and you don't play well. Otherwise I'm just getting electrocute, shock, shock duration, ailment magnitude, lucky lighting damage, getting some accuracy is also needed. As far as only today I learned that there's accuracy fall off with distance. I have 100% hit chance within 2 meters radius. There's a fall off, and maybe I just didn't. Oh wait, there is up to 90% less accuracy for targets further than 12 meters away. So after 2 meters, the accuracy begins to fall off. And I just learned that today because I didn't read accuracy, because I mean I knew what accuracy is from PoE 1. So it's very important to read, even if you are like a PoE 1 veteran, especially probably. So that's, I really don't like that. You can, I guess, I don't know, take a picture of this passive skill tree. There's no way for me to kind of export the build as far as I know, or import it somewhere else. There's no POB just yet. I'm not sure how like optimized this is. It doesn't feel that great, but I am applying 39% shock, and electrocute is mostly for volte grenade, you're not gonna be electrocuting big bosses. So this is kind of, I'm not sure if electrocute is worth taking. It is very nice crowd control for just in general enemies and areas, and it does work really well. And my crossbow actually right now is pretty good. I made it myself, and yeah, the rest you just want to avoid getting lightning resistance. Is there anything else? Yeah, pretty much. So I don't really want to focus too much on this build because, like I said, it doesn't perform that well, and now I kind of ruined the build by getting the quest done. If I can refine the quest, maybe I'll come back to this build, but the main kind of difference to PoE2 is that you have to combo skills, like I said, like this skill. This skill sucks without the shock. If you don't shock enemies, it sucks. It does so little damage. As soon as you shock enemies, it does so much damage. And in order to shock enemies, you're not really going to be shocking with this skill. So you have to use another skill, and then it does a lot more damage. And I do like that part of the game where it kind of incentivizes you to use different skills, because it just feels rewarding when you combine the right skills. Now I already started the next build, and I think I'm going to be doing a couple of videos. I want to do a video about the torrents, and kind of like a baby righteous fire. It's not really, but just to give an idea of what you can do and how the mechanics may work if you are not too familiar with Path of Exile. I will try to do more videos now that the initial kind of experience of the game is kind of settling in, and I can start. I kind of reviewed all the unique items and started like gathering ideas for the builds, and gonna start experimenting more, and hopefully gonna start posting more videos. But I'm not gonna be pushing myself too hard because, like I said, I already talked about this in one of my videos. I'm over time gonna be kind of quitting Path of, not just Path of Exile, but quitting like YouTube, maybe, we'll see. So I don't want to push myself too hard, making like videos and updates about every single build that I do. When I find some interesting mechanics, I'll try to do videos as soon as possible. So for now, thank you for watching. Hope you have a good experience with Path of Exile 2, and hope that GG buffs things that needs to be buffed and fixes things that need to be fixed as soon as possible. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.